Good morning, 9th class. Hope you are all fine. Today we will start permanent tissues. Permanent tissues is another type of the plant tissues, and they are originated from the meristematic tissues. Okay, we have discussed meristematic tissues in our previous class. As you know, it is the tissues which have ability to divide. Okay, permanent tissues, they are originated or formed from the meristematic tissues. And the cells of the permanent tissues do not have ability to divide. Okay, another characteristics of permanent tissues is that they do not have ability to divide. Okay, so these are the different characteristics of permanent tissues, that they are originated from meristematic tissues and they do not divide. Okay, they are classified into different types. Okay, we will discuss its different types in our today's lecture. Okay, different types of permanent tissues are epidermal tissues, ground tissues, and spore tissues. Okay, first of all, epidermal tissues. Epidermal tissues, they are basically surround the plant body because they form the outermost layer of the plant body. Okay, they are composed of single layer of cells and they cover the plant body. Okay, epidermal tissues, they are formed from single layer of cells and they cover the plant body, and because they are from the outermost covering of the plant, that's why it acts as a barrier between environment and the internal plant tissues. It protects the different parts of the plant. Okay, and it acts as a barrier between environment and the internal plant tissues. Okay, actually permanent tissues in different parts of the plant, they have performed the different functions. For example, in roots, they are responsible for the absorption of water and minerals. Okay, in roots they are responsible for the absorption of water and minerals. Okay, actually epidermal tissues, they are form specialized structure and then they perform a specific function. For example, in root, they modified into root hairs and they form root hairs, and these root hairs are responsible for the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Okay, on the stems and leaves, they secrete a layer which is known as cutin. Okay, they secrete a cutin, and the coating of the cutin is known as cuticle. Okay, and this cuticle prevent evaporation. Okay, so on stems and leaf, these epidermal tissues, they prevent evaporation. Okay, okay, epidermal tissue, they, as we have discussed, they form specialized structure and then they perform a specific function. For example, they form specialized structure like root hairs, which is form on the root, and then it is responsible for the absorption of water and mineral from the soil. And on leaves, they form stomata, and these stomatas are responsible for the gaseous exchange in plants. So these are the different specialized structures which is formed by the epidermal tissues, and they perform a specific functions. Root hairs and stomatas are examples of these specialized structures which is formed from the epidermal tissues. Okay, okay, this is the epidermal tissues. Here these are stomatas are shown, and these stomatas are responsible for the exchange of gases in plants. Okay, another type of permanent tissue is ground tissue. Okay, ground tissues, they are basically simple tissues and they are made up of cells which is known as parenchyma cells. Okay, so the cells of ground tissues are called as parenchyma cells. Okay, parenchyma cells are basically the most abundant cells in the plant. Okay, it is the most abundant cells. सबसे ज़्यादा जो cells plants में होते हैं वो ground tissues के parenchyma cells होते हैं. Okay, the shape of the ground tissues are spherical, okay, but in flat, but flat at point of contact. Okay, these are ground tissues basically, and their shape is spherical, but when they contact with other cells, they become flat. So the overall shape of ground tissue is spherical. Okay, ground tissues basically perform different functions in different parts of the plant. For example, leaf, these ground tissues are known as mesophyll cells. Okay, and these mesophyll cells are responsible for photosynthesis. So in leaves, ground tissues, they form mesophyll cells, and these are the site of photosynthesis. Okay, or in other parts of the plant, they are site of respiration and protein synthesis. Okay, and in other parts, in different other parts of the plant, they are responsible for respiration and protein synthesis. So in the different parts of the plant, ground tissue perform different functions. For example, in leaves, they form mesophyll cells, and these are responsible for photosynthesis, and in other part they are responsible for respiration and protein synthesis. Okay, and the cells of ground tissues have primary cell wall, okay, and they have large vacuole for the storage of food. So this is the structure of ground tissues and function of ground tissues. Okay, and the next type of the permanent tissue is the spore tissue, but before that there is some information. For example, most parenchyma cells, as you know, as a permanent tissue, they do not have ability to divide, but most parenchyma cells, they have developed the ability to divide, and that help in the process of repairing an injury, and then they differentiate into other types of cells. So during injury or repairing, these parenchyma cells, they mostly develop the ability to divide and then differentiate into other types of cells. Okay. Okay, and the last and third type of the permanent tissue is the spore tissues. Okay, spore tissues basically provide strength and flexibility to the plants where they are present. Okay, basic characteristics of spore tissue is that they provide strength and flexibility to plants. Okay, they are further divided into two types: collenchyma tissues and scalenchyma tissues. So these are the two types of spore tissues: collenchyma tissues and scalenchyma tissues. First type is collenchyma tissues. Collenchyma tissues, first of all, the location where they are found in cortex. Cortex is a layer beneath epidermis on the plant. Epidermis is the outermost layer. On beneath it there is layer which is called cortex. So collenchyma cells tissues, they are present in the cortex of young stems and in the midribs of leaves and in the petals of flowers. So these are the different locations where the collenchyma tissues are found, and structure of collenchyma is they are basically made up of elongated cells. These are collenchyma cells tissues, and they are basically elongated cells, and they have unevenly thickened primary cell wall. Okay, and due to that they are flexible and function to support the organs in which they are found. They are basically flexible and they support the organ where they are present. Okay, so this is first type of spore tissue, collenchyma tissues. Another type of spore tissue is the scalenchyma tissues. Okay, scalenchyma tissues are composed of cells with rigid secondary cell wall. Okay, cell wall of the scalenchyma tissues are rigid. Okay, and their cell walls are hardened, rigid, because of the presence of chemical which is known as lignin. Because of the presence of lignin, their cell walls are hardened, and this lignin is the main component of the wood. Okay, lignin is basically found in the wood, and it is also present in skull and chyma tissues, and because of this their cell wall is hardened, okay, or rigid. Okay, mostly skull and chyma cells cannot elongate when they mature because most of them are dead. Okay, so mature skull and chyma tissues cannot elongate and most of them are dead. So these are the different types of spore tissues. Okay, we have discussed permanent tissues and types. There are 3 types of permanent tissue we have discussed today. Okay, learn it thoroughly, practice the diagram and make MCQs, short questions, and okay, Allah Hafiz.